In Office 2007, Microsoft introduced the ribbon across many of the applications in the Office suite. While that was a significant change in 2007, there aren't as many significant changes in 2010, but there are a few that we'd like to highlight. The first time you run an Office application, it may ask you to enter your name and initials. If you're prompted like this in any of your Office applications, choose Don't make any changes. While the ribbon stays virtually the same, one significant change you see reflected here in Word is that the orb that used to sit in the upper left-hand corner has been replaced by a new tab called File. This File tab is actually nicknamed the Backstage, and on this tab you will see many of the behind-the-scenes tasks that you need to do with a particular document in an Office application. While the Backstage may vary from application to application, most of the content is similar. You'll see that the file management tools at the top. Info provides you some key tools towards document management. Recent allows you to recall your most recent documents, and one nice new feature with recent documents is the ability to pin a document. For example, if you're going to be using We the People frequently, you may want to pin it to the top so that you can quickly access it regardless of how recently it's been opened. If you're done with the document, you can simply unpin it and it will eventually disappear as new documents are opened. The New button works similarly to previous versions, however it doesn't open a new dialog. Most everything opens within this contained Backstage window. You simply select the type of document you want to open and click Create. One of the nice features is that the Print button now gives you the ability to quickly change your settings before clicking Print. And that way you don't have to open up too many windows before you actually print the document. Save and Send is where you'll find how to email a document as an attachment, and you'll also see some of the key new features for cloud computing that have been embedded in the Office applications. One last thing to share with you here in the Backstage is this is where you gain access to the options for the particular application. Here you see the options for Word. Much like Word, PowerPoint and Excel have undergone some small changes, but I won't go into them right now. Instead, we'll take a look at OneNote, which has gone through some significant changes. The first time you run OneNote, it's going to ask you about how you want to create your first notebook. And despite the fact that they recommend using a web version, select On My Computer as the way to create your first notebook. As with previous editions of OneNote, the first notebook it creates for you is a guide to show you how to use OneNote. While we won't spend any time going over the guide today, it's certainly worth you taking a look at when you have a chance. One of the first things you should realize that is different about the new version of OneNote is that it now implements the ribbon as with the rest of the Office applications. In addition, the ribbon starts minimized. If you'd like to expand the ribbon so that it stays fully deployed, you click the down arrow to create a look like you're used to possibly in Word and other Office applications. As with Office 2007, the hardest part about the ribbon is just getting used to it and finding some of those primary features that you used or used to know where they were in Office OneNote 2007. In particular, for me, the most utilized ribbon tab is the Draw tab. Notice this is where you'll find your pens, your drawing objects, your insert space, and your selection tools. As with Word, there's a Backstage or File tab. Here you see information about the current notebook, which is the personal one that was created by default for us. Open if you want to open an existing notebook. Let's turn our attention to New, which is how to create a new notebook. Initially it defaults to Web, but after we select My Computer the first time, it will do it from this point forward. So if we wanted to create a new notebook called French, notice that as before, it defaults to storing it in our documents. This is our My Documents, so that's the ideal location for it. And we click Create, and that generates a new notebook called French next to our personal notebook, which really has the guide in it. As before, you can change the section numbers by right-clicking. To create a new section, there's actually an asterisk tab here, which allows you to do a second tab. On the far right, we still have a button to create new page. One of the things you may notice is that there are no grid lines visible by default. This is actually a major change in OneNote because now the grid lines in the lined paper is more a function of the view of the paper as opposed to the actual stationery of the paper. So under the View tab, if you switch to ruled lines, you can choose the type of ruled lines. And as an added feature, if you were to ever PDF or print a OneNote document, the ruled lines will now be a part of the printed document or the PDF document. Because the ribbon has replaced the traditional menu and toolbar system, you may find that it's harder or more clicks to get to some of the important tools you had readily at your fingertips in previous versions of OneNote. In particular, you may find it challenging to get easy access to multiple colored pens. There are two ways to work around this. The first is to right-click anywhere in the pen gallery and choose to add the gallery to your Quick Access toolbar. Your Quick Access toolbar is the little toolbar that sits above the ribbon in all of your Office applications. By adding the gallery to the top Quick Access toolbar, I can now easily grab a color and use that color and change again to a different color, regardless of which ribbon is currently selected. The other way to quickly add tools to the Quick Access toolbar is to use the drop-down arrow and choose from some of the more popular ones, including 5 pens here at the bottom. So if you want a highlighter, always accessible, regardless of which tab you're on, you can add that to your Quick Access toolbar for easy access. I think if you spend some time thinking about the key tools that you use, you'll be able to take great advantage of the Quick Access toolbar at the top of the screen. While there are many other great features in Office OneNote 2010, I'll save them for a later date. For now, we'll leave Office OneNote and head to Outlook. The first time you run Outlook off campus, it may prompt you for your username and password. Remember, your username and password for email needs to include the full email address, including @careyacademy.org. A nice feature this time around is that Outlook will remember your username and password for you the next time it tries to log in from off campus. As was the case with OneNote, Outlook has traded its menus and toolbars for the ribbon as well. Most of the core functionality that you need in Outlook is right here on the Home tab, which is the ideal design for the ribbon. You get easy access to all the reply, delete, and forward types of things you would want to do with an email. When you switch to Calendar, the Home tab changes and gives you again the most important features that you would expect in calendaring. There are similar ribbon designs for contacts and tasks as well. If we now want to take a look at the file or backstage for Outlook, while there isn't much to do in Outlook in the backstage, the one thing you may want to take a look at is the Options tab, where you can configure certain features within Outlook. Even when you create a new email, or calendar item, or task, they also use the ribbon in the interface for entering a new email. So when you go to the body of the email, you get basically a mini version of the Word ribbon at the top here. Most of the features again are on the first tab for Message. However, sometimes you may want to insert or modify the options for sending the email. As you can see, most of the functionality you could want is on the first tab. But remember, there's always the option of adding stuff to the Quick Access toolbar if you feel like things aren't readily available to you via the ribbon.